Good morning, AIBPM. Good morning, Rudrissa. Good morning, everyone present here, including students. This is my continuous interactions with the overall team of AIBPM. So I was just thinking what topic to be taken. And to be very frank, I'm not an expert in AI and related systems, but I thought since that is now the future, let me just look into some of these aspects. And one uh, conference paper, which I did not include in this, I will also speak on that when we go ahead. So the topic which I selected is because I'm from that area, I selected transforming supply chains through intelligent sustainability and responsible innovation. So what is happening in today's scenario with respect to multiple things? And this is primarily more of secondary inputs, not primary inputs. But I will just give some brief glimpse into one research area which we dealt with last year, last year. So when we look into global supply chain, as you are aware now, we don't have to tell what is happening with respect to the world, especially because of the war. A lot of issues happening in the supply chain, especially with petroleum products, tech, and everything. Not only petroleum products, but all kinds of products because of the uh, uh, problems in the Strait of Hormuz, problems otherwise, problems in war. Even before that, a lot of issues happening because it's not an easy thing to provide uh, products across the world by using a beautiful logistics system. It's not that easy because multiple problems can happen. So they have a lot of disruptions, like, for example, geopolitical instability. What is happening right now? We don't have to go into those details because we already know what is happening. And you can see the petrol prices of petrol products and multiple products because of that increasing day by day. Um, and the side effect of all these issues, all this war happening and other reasons, climate risk, which is primarily there. The places where it hardly used to rain now is getting a lot of rainfall. These issues and sea getting rough. So the ships which are carrying items, products are facing problems. The climate risk is happening a lot. Pandemics, definitely. We don't have to go into the pandemics. We had 2-3 years continuous suffering because of COVID, inflation in a lot of countries, trade restrictions in a lot of countries because of geopolitical instability. So all these things are happening, and therein we have the importance of making the systems much more flexible, much more sustainable, much more resilient. So we want to have this global supply chain more resilient to the outside world, more flexible and agile according to the situation. And we are talking about sustainability, so definitely that is something which is there. In fact, companies are now focusing on sustainable products a lot, including sustainable packaging. And of course, because now if you look at most of the, even in education institutions, we have to tell that a lot of subjects are now included which has components of digitization and transformation. So AI is becoming a very, very important part of supply chain. In fact, this is what I was talking about in packaging companies also. The manual sorting of parcels are now replaced by cross-belt sorting. And all this cross-belt sorting, one example which I found out was a company called ZSort, and the ZSort system, which is from technology, I forgot the company's name. This also is AI-enabled sorting system, which will enable the packaging to be much more efficient. In fact, there is a 700% increase in the volume generated as far as the packaging is concerned because of the usage of this digitized system. So a lot of things are happening. So AI-driven, of course, along with that, areas which are focused in terms of AI is, as the previous speaker talked about, you're talking about project management, demand forecasting, because what the main problem which is happening in the today's scenario is the inventory stock optimization, the stock outs. So demand forecasting becomes very, very important. A lot of areas have come out into that. Though analytics is the bedrock, but artificial intelligence is helping them to make thousands of data and predict those thousands of data in a faster way. Risk prediction, financial risk and operational risk, both. That's a very important part of it. And of course, evaluating the suppliers and finding out which supplier is good. That is also becoming part of AI, provided the company is ready to invest for some time. And of course, now we are talking about agentic AI, which is example is Google Cloud Jules. Yeah, when I was preparing for it, I just found out what is Jules happening, because, as I told, it is something which we don't operate on, and I found it to be very, very efficient in terms of data coding, etc. And what I read is it works even in the night, even when you shut it off, it works, so that coding becomes so automatic. So a lot of things are now becoming automated. Of course, it has its own disadvantages, but this is something which is coming up in future. So, and along with that, you have real-time supply chain visibility. This was there for last decade or so, where we collect data using Internet of Things and analyze data using AI. We are already talking about, which was already there, but now it is digitized, virtual replica of the system. Yeah, this is happening in supply chain. This is happening in advertising. This is happening in manufacturing, creating a digital twin. And of course, all these things being analyzed in terms of the feedback using a blockchain to find out whether any fraud is happening. Because as we digitize things, frauds are also happening. So how do you track it? So that's where blockchain is also becoming very, very important. Then, of course, you have when we have a lot of digitization, the volume increases. Along with the volume, sustainability becomes an issue. So carbon footprint monitoring becomes very, very important. Circular economy is what we are now talking about, right? We are talking about sustainable way, consumption of waste of resources, reducing the waste. For example, a company called Patagonia, which is into textiles and this thing, they encourage customers to repair that and resell it. So the reselling kind of systems are happening a lot, so as to reduce the clothing waste, which is talking about sustainability in future in a long way. And we know that most of the cities, most of the countries are now talking about reducing the wastage, improving the sustainable practices across the world. Then hyper-automation in terms of procurement, in terms of warehouses, in terms of process automation, usage of smart robots, which definitely is there in most of the manufacturing organizations. And of course, resilience, supply chain resilience, route optimization, very, very important, because transportation is where we are losing out in terms of the time, in terms of the cost. So how do you reroute? How do we use dynamic scheduling so that there is no wastage of time? So that's also very, very important. So in short, we can see that in procurement, in inventory, logistics, in warehousing, service, customer service, understanding the customers and giving the right product the right time. Risk management, as already told, supply selection and evaluation of them, demand forecasting, of course, that is very, very important, so that stockout is avoided. Route optimization, as already told. Robotics, chatbots, in all the sectors, chatbots is becoming very, very important. And of course, disruption prediction. So a lot of new technologies in terms of that is just a minuscule introduction. A lot of things can be discussed on that by experts. Of course, generative AI, which is talking about massive data sets and creating original content from that. Large language models, so that human languages, human situations, human thinking can be summarized. So this will make sure that translation becomes very, very useful, very easy, very fast. Then, of course, autonomous agents, as I've already told, Google Jules, observe, think, act, learn loop, which is 24/7. Edge AI definitely happening in smartphones, which helps us to be um, very, very smart in terms of usage, in terms of route, in terms of anything which you do. Most of the smartphones are um using these kind of models to make sure that we update ourselves. Then, of course, because we don't know all these AI tools, there are now tools just come for understanding how AI works. So that is also very, very upcoming area. But along with that, as the previous lecturer from Malaysia discussed, ethical challenges in terms of data privacy, in terms of algorithmic bias. Of course, everybody talks about data privacy, but one more important thing is the bias which happens. So it's not that AI is always successful, AI is always precise. No, sometimes it might happen that if you have 15 suppliers, the algorithmic bias can happen so that we are selecting the wrong supplier. So can we look into that and find out how do we do it? I think there was a question from Dr. Rudresh last time about how in this era world of AI, humans can survive. This is one area where humans can survive because there is nothing to displace the human intelligence. So I think in terms of understanding the employees, understanding the suppliers, understanding the procurement, there has to be a combination of human intelligence with AI to make sure that right decisions are made. So there are a lot of things where humans can have a group discussion, finding out the right way of looking at it. And I don't think AI can displace it altogether. So you need a proper combinations of that. So ethical challenges have to be managed by the systems. Of course, transparency issues, because a lot of times, and I'm just telling out of the box. I just use ChatGPT sometimes to understand how my predictions work in terms of astrology, and just astrology in terms of just compare with when I talk to a proper human astrologer. So a lot of times I felt that some of the astrological viewpoints which AI is giving is not exactly what the real astrologer. So real astrologer has the proper decision making layer by layer, which is not coming out when AI is talking about. AI is more general in terms of that. And sometimes I feel there is no logic behind it. So I think there is some black box somewhere where AI is not able to exactly define how and why this is coming. So that's where the transparency issues is still there. And of course, when an organization or when in a personal life, who is responsible for wrong AI decisions? Is it the top management? Is it the organizations which provide these AI tools? Who's accountable? That's something which is very, very important. Whatever said and done, whether AI will completely displace or we coexist, one thing which is definitely there, some of the administrative roles, some of the mundane jobs which we do it will be displaced by AI. So how do we manage that? That becomes a very, very important issue. Of course, cybersecurity, which we don't have to tell, we already told about it, vulnerabilities in terms of usage. We are always careful when we are using AI, and we have to be extremely careful continuously because sometimes AI can cause issues for it. And of course, the AI. Now, there's a lot of debate happening in terms of how much energy AI is using. I'm not gone into the details, but what I understand is some of the AI tools use a lot of energy. So where does this energy go? And is it a waste? Yes, it does cause environmental issues. So how do we manage that? It's again a big issue which has to be looked into. So when we look into responsible AI framework, I think there is something which is very, very important, which we discussed previously also, which is explainable AI. So which is called as XAI. So we have to form, if you really want to use as AI for supply chain management, we have to look into a proper governance. We have to look into what is the role of humans, what is the role of AI. We have to have ethical auditing. I'm sure now in 10, 20 years down the line, we will replace or we will displace or we might substitute financial auditing with a combination of financial and ethical audit. So that becomes very, very important. We need to, as we discussed previously, we need to completely remove or at least partially displace the bias, which might happen. We will see in near future from the governments, from the organizations, regulatory compliance, which will make all the decisions more transparent. So if you really want to have a good framework for supply chain management, have an explainable AI, a lot of people working on responsible XI, then or responsible AI. This is very, very important. So when we look into the regulatory landscape, I'm sure there will be a lot of governance policies which will come. Since the world is now becoming more global, we need to have a cross-border compliance so that there is a common uniform rules. There will be data protection laws already there, but we need to work more on that. The ethical standards, which we already discussed, and global AI regulations, how it's going to have an impact on the future. Some of the industry examples which we generally discuss is last mile delivery optimization. I've already told about it in terms of route optimization. The predictive maintenance, I feel that this is one area which requires a lot of importance using AI. How do we maintain equipments, plants, etc., using predictive maintenance? That is one area where AI will have a role. Warehouse automation already happening, dynamic routing, which we already discussed in terms of route. And we discussed about last mile delivery because 40 to 50% of cost is coming in that areas. How do we reduce that cost? That's where AI is becoming very, very important. So if AI is properly used, definitely we'll have a lot of savings in terms of ROI. Future of AI. So we are looking into autonomous agents which work continuously without anybody's help, predicting, optimizing, sustaining organizations in without much of human help. We will talk about sustainability. We will talk about ethical standards and how this is going to work. Of course, human supervised where coexistence will be important, and AI will definitely be there along with the management to support them. So AI adoption is going to improve the efficiency in terms of the supply chain. It will go for making it more resilient and more sustainable. Of course, ethics, we already discussed, proper corporate governance in terms of how and where we have to support it and where are the boundaries, and in terms of transparency. So in short, as I conclude, there will be a lot of importance of AI in supply chain in terms of predictive maintenance, last mile delivery, route optimization, stock maintenance, demand forecasting, and so on. But it will be based on how AI is used along with human presence, and how AI is ethically, transparently, and responsibly used for sustainability and improving the ROI. That's what is going to be the future for me, according to. Thank you. And I hope I've given some inputs, waiting for the questions. Over to you, Rudesh sir.
Thank you, Ranjit sir. It was such a nice presentation. In fact, it's it's something that we have built on the previous speakers. So there was a connection which you were talking. So you spoke of new trends. You spoke of how AI is used in analytics. You also spoke of risk and how technologies like digital twins and traceability are helping, especially in fraud detection and the other problems which are there. And you also told us about blockchain, how blockchain is helping us in frauds and fraud detection. And obviously, AI adoption is the real thing which you said, and it has to be there. One very interesting aspect which you have brought in this whole discussion is corporate governance. I think corporate governance is a major issue which needs to be looked at here in this scenario, because and I think that is developing at a very slow pace.
Absolutely.
Technology develops very fast. Its adoption also develops very fast, but the infrastructure relating to it is still very slow. How we are managing risk and how we are managing
So that is
the
where
adoption.
that
Yes, sir.
that is where I think there is we are working in silos.
Yes.
So I think there is need for coordinated effort in not only in terms of how organizations coexist in terms of usage of AI, but also on how countries can collaborate in making sure that AI adoption is consistently delivering more effective and efficient supply chain. I'm talking about supply chain. And that's
Okay.
where I think there needs to be a more concerted effort from everyone, all stakeholders, including countries.
Okay. I think that's very fair take on this. Sir, I think I can ask a question. We have been getting questions also here on the chat, and so let me just look at what we have. So. Uh, okay. This is also similar to what a question which we got in the for the last speaker. So I think people who are listening to us are very curious about it. So I'll ask the same thing because this is the same kind of question which I have got. So what is the most important aspect of AI according to you? Is it, for example, is it predictive analytics or maybe automation? And what is it that is changing the supply chain in terms of AI, sir?
I think what is now happening is not in terms of, yes, definitely predictive analytics is happening. But I feel there is a lot of effort which has to go into using AI for improving the delivery and improving the customer satisfaction. I think what we are definitely lacking even now, we talk about Zepto, we talk about the multiple apps which are there for making delivery faster, but still, last mile delivery is definitely one of the areas which we have to really work on, because that's where the cost is. How consolidation and disaggregation can happen by using AI more effectively is one area which we have to work on, definitely. Second is, of course, how AI can help in terms of decision making. I think that's one area which we have to work on. How AI can help in, say, for example, you have multiple. One example which I've already given is there. Multiple suppliers are there. How we select the supplier. So that's with respect to suppliers. But overall, if we have multiple options, how we can make a decision in terms of which one to choose. Can AI or a digitized tool help in that is another area which you can look into that. So from a business angle, choosing the right strategy, and from the operational angle, the delivery management. I think these are the two areas where AI can really work on for the next 10 to 20 years. Maybe
Okay,
there are
I
a lot
think
of other areas which
I
I
think,
might
sir,
have
you
missed
have
out.
answered even the second question which I I have got, which was basically how you see these. So I just want to add to this, Yanem,
Yes,
what
yes,
you
sure,
said.
sure.
So
Sure, sure.
you are talking about a lot of technologies like digital twin, Gen AI, automation. So how do you see these technologies shaping up in future? And what will be more important for people? And if you can just input a suggestion to the students who are listening to us right now, that which technologies they should look for. Should they be more focused on blockchain, or maybe something like digital twin, or what should they do look for when probably they go in the job market and when they start their career? What will help them, sir?
Okay. Um, I'm not an expert in this area, but what are the problem with us, including the people who are sitting here, is that our fundamentals are where the problem is. I think we should first address, even as a student, we should first address our fundamentals. So when I'm saying about AI or blockchain or any other tool, we should first make sure that our data analytics systems are very, very, very proper. We should know what analytics we have to use, how do we use it without the help of technology. Then, if we are comfortable in that area, then we have to look into the technology. In technological side, what I feel is we should first have basics of how what are the basic tools, for example, Google Cloud tools which you're seeing. So what are the tools which are more frequently used by organizations? I may not have a specific tool here because it depends on the industries. So you'll have to first find out what are the typical tools which are used by the industries, mainly for what, if I'm looking supply chain, mainly for demand forecasting, mainly for data analytics, maybe mainly for your last mile delivery and so on. Then, so if your fundamentals are strong and if you know these are the kind of industries you are looking into and these are the tools which they utilize, they are more properly, then we can look into studying about it. But having said that, basics of artificial intelligence, basic of blockchain, and the basics of automation, basics of what is done in robotic process automation, all these things are primarily important for people who get into any kind of organizations as of now. The more advanced versions, which we talk about, autonomous agents or explainable AI, etc., will be learned when you are doing the job. I'm sure companies will teach you what exactly is required at that time. So that's my answer. You need to have fundamental study, then fundamental AI tools. Then definitely you can upgrade from that as we go on.
Okay, I think that's very fair, and it's very fair to say also. I think a message is very clear to the audience here, that there are a lot of things which are changing at very fast pace, and we
Yeah,
really don't know what will happen in future about the risk, about the infrastructure of AI, how AI will be changing. But one thing from you is very clear, that students should be very clear with the fundamentals. They should be
absolutely.
very clear with their knowledge base. And if they are very strong in their fundamentals and knowledge base, I think they can survive the changes. Um,
Because if you're strong in your fundamentals, whatever tools coming in, you should here it's just an application, right? And
yes.
because of new, and of course because of AI, any new tool coming in, even if it requires coding, it is already available. So you don't have to learn it. It's already available. You have to just adapt it. But nobody is going to teach you, for example, how standard deviation is used. Nobody is going to teach you. So that you have to know depending on situation. So your fundamentals have to be very strong.
I think that's a very fair takeaway from today's session, sir. So, thank you, Dr. Ranjit, for joining us.
Thank you, sir.
You
Thank you,
have
sir.
been a part of AIBPM,
Thank
and
you.
it's such an honor to have you, and pleasure to listen to you, sir. So,
Absolutely.
hope
My
to see
pleasure
you
to talking
again.
with you.
Hope to see you again on AIBPM
Sure.
platform.
Sure.
Thank you,
Sure.
sir. Thank you for
Thank you.
joining.
Thank you.
So.